there's about 20 different categories that we track all in, and we develop policies. We now have more than 35,000 people at the company who work on safety and security overall. We spend billions of dollars a year on this. Our budget on safety and security is now greater than the whole revenue of our company was at the time that we went public in 2012. So it's a big effort. But nonetheless, I believe that it should not sit on any one company's shoulders to make so many important decisions about speech. So one of the things that I've tried to focus on doing is building an independent oversight board that will consist of people with diverse backgrounds and views and is global, but who all value freedom of expression. And this group will be able to make final binding decisions on what content stays up and comes down on Facebook that even I or our team won't be able to overrule. So it'll create a check and balance and oversight of our company's operations.
How do you extricate yourself from that, from that body that you would be created?
Congressman, the way we are setting this up is so that we will appoint the first set of co-chairs for the body, and we hope to do this in the next few months. And then they will nominate a set of other members, and we will jointly agree on them. Once the board is up and running, it will nominate and refill itself. So we will not be involved in the selection process after that.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The gentleman. And handled by the Libra Association, which is a not-for-profit entity, correct?
Congresswoman, the reserve for the Libra payment system will be handled by the Independent Libra Association. That is,
and that's a not-for-profit, right?
That is
you mentioned that several times in your testimony.
Yes.
Calibra is the digital wallet. It's where somebody's going to put their Libra, correct?
Yes, Congresswoman. Calibra
and that's
is
that's a wholly owned subsidiary of Facebook, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and that Calibra is a for-profit entity, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so I guess I'm just kind of a little bit curious about how you're going to make your money, what the business model is. Do you anticipate that you're going to collect fees from vendors, much like a credit card processor? Or are you going to mine data and use that to monetize the data that you get from people's purchases, or all of the above?
Congresswoman, we're not going to share payment information from Calibra to the rest of Facebook for personalizing services. So there are just a small number of limited cases where we might have to share data if for overall security,
so how are you going to make
tax
money?
law requires it. Sorry?
So how are you going to make money?
The basic method here is through advertising overall. And the way that this is going to work
so you will still use that data for advertising purposes?
Congresswoman, no, sorry, if you'll give me a moment.
Actually, I'm going to reclaim my time because my time's about halfway up. A couple days ago, Facebook released its plan to protect the 2020 elections. I assume you're familiar with this document, right?
Congresswoman, I can't...
Helping to protect the 2020 U.S. elections.
Okay, yes.
Okay. And now, the plan doesn't mention deepfakes, but it does talk about misinformation. So I assume, would deepfakes fall under this umbrella of misinformation, according to your plan here?
Congresswoman, they could, and we're also working on a separate deepfakes policy as well.
Okay, yes,
for
and
when
I know
it would be
you talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So do you understand there's a difference between misinformation and disinformation? Are you aware of that? That there's a difference between those two concepts? Misinformation is false information that is spread regardless of whether there is intent to mislead. Disinformation is deliberately misleading information, manipulated narrative, or propaganda. Are you aware that there's a difference between those two concepts?
Congresswoman, yes.
Okay, but do you believe it's not your position to get into what the intent of any kind of poster is in putting that information out there?
Congresswoman, it's not that it's not our responsibility or that it's not good to take that into account. It's just that it's much harder to determine intent at scale. I mean, I gave this example.
Okay, and so I have an example, actually. So we all saw the manipulated video of Speaker Pelosi, right? That was posted on Facebook and reposted by a number of other folks. That was obviously digitally manipulated content. Now, did that that came out before this policy started, so did it have a third-party independent review to determine whether it was manipulated or not?
Congresswoman, it did have a third-party fact-checker
And how long did that fact-checking review take?
I think, I don't know how long the review took, but there was an operational mistake on our side which took too long for us to flag it for a fact-checker to look at. So once we'd flagged it
Okay, and then
for
once the information came out that that was an altered video and it was essentially a fake video, who made the decision to leave it up?
Well, Congresswoman, our policy is that for misinformation, we don't...
I understand that that's the policy, but was there a recommendation that the video be taken down at any point in that process?
Well, Congresswoman, the policy is fairly clear on how we should act with that.
Were you involved in making a decision about whether that video came down or whether it remained up?
Congresswoman, yes, and part of this was, okay, this is what our policy is now, and recognizing that this example, among others, highlighted for us that we need a separate deepfake policy that may be different from how we treat ordinary misinformation. And that's what we're working on now. We've started by implementing this deepfake challenge to work on technical solutions for identifying deepfakes and figuring out what they are, and that's how we're proceeding on this.
You had me at yes, Mr. Zuckerberg. Thanks.